right, welcome back for another episode of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find comics, those books that are going to take you a little bit of legwork and a little bit of luck and a little bit of searching for you to add them to your collection, because these are just not your everyday books that you see up on the wall at every LCS you go to. These are some genuinely hard to find books at the very least, if not ghosts. And we will go through each book and make that determination as we go through it. Hopefully you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. We keep getting closer and closer to 2,000 subscribers every day, and I appreciate all you guys still supporting the channel. Make sure you take part in the free giveaways that we're doing. I got another giveaway going on right now for Dollar Bin Digging. Make sure you check out that video and see how you enter. It's very simple, and I will announce a winner in just 2 days' time from when this video drops this week. So make sure you get in on that so you can get your chances of free books. I mean, on me. I'll ship them out to you and everything. That said, I actually got this deck ready like a week ago, so I am not 100% what books I chose to put in here, because I tried to get ahead of the game to get prepared, and now that I'm sitting here filming, I don't remember all the books, so if I start mumbling, my apologies. But it is what it is. That said, hold on for a few seconds, and we'll all see what books I chose for this week's Chasing Ghosts. All right, so as I said, I'm trying to make use of my time and record this little video here on Sunday ahead of the live show that we're about to do in about a half an hour. So let's see what I put in the list for this week. Like I said, I got this ready last week. I don't remember everything that I chose. I try to work ahead of the game to plan things out, so I got everything prepared. But usually I do it a little closer to when I make the material, so it's fresher in my mind. So let's see how well I remember what I did here. We are starting off with Fearless Defenders. This is a Manara cover, which is going to be sought after for that reason. I mean, there are a few from this time that are all pretty highly valued. Not just talking about the Spider-Woman with the butt shot that got cut out, but there's some other books like that. Black Widow is a pretty pricey book in and of itself, but this one it isn't too cheap either. We're going to do a couple of books, I believe, from this Fearless Defenders run. I think maybe 1, 2, and 3, because issue 4 we actually did on a very early episode, because I think it was suggested by one of the you viewers out there. So I think that Hans variant on issue 4, there's a 1 in 50. It was already done. So we're going to skip that one, but this one is a 1 in 50 as well from February 2013. This, like I said, is a Milo Manara cover. Pretty cool Valkyrie. This had a healthy print run of about 53,000 thereabouts. So our 1 in 50 incentive is still going to be just over 1,000 copies potentially. Again, these are estimates based on estimated information that's out there. I'm checking Comicron, and then we're doing the quick guerrilla math there with a 1 in 50 ratio into that print run. So that's where the numbers are coming from, but they are still estimates after all and should not be taken as gospel. With that said, make your best guess with the information that is available as to how hard some of these books are to find, including what's in the CGC census. How many people have submitted this book for grading? It looks like we got 65 copies of this one in the census, with 46 9/8s, 12 9/6s, and then 7 9/4s, and that's it. Yeah, so 65 in the census for this 1 in 50. And as I mentioned earlier, this one, it sells pretty well. $90 raw. With that shipping is really $100 raw. So definitely not a cheap book. Double ratio ain't too bad if you can still get that on an incentive. Most of the time, you just kind of hope that it maintains its value at a ratio price. But to go double ratio for a raw isn't too shabby. And copies available, there are a couple, and they're not cheap. There's only one raw out there right now, and it wants $200. And then there's a 9/8 asking $550, and a 9/8, or no, that's a 9/6 asking $500 right now. So there are 3 copies available right now for this particular 1 in 50. But this isn't the only cover, and we jump from the more painted style of Milo Manara to this kind of throwback. I kind of dig this Fearless Defenders number 2. Looks almost like an old school Pam Grier cover for a movie poster or something like that. I kind of like it. It's like the Bruce Timm Cage covers that I'm still looking for. I think, what is that, for issue 3 on that Cage series? But anyway, this is issue 2. This is a 1 in 50 as well, and this is Marcos Martin. Underrated artist. I do dig his style. I like that run that he did on Spider-Man, and I think Daredevil too as well. Definitely got a different look for his style, but I like it. And this cover from March of 2013 is another interesting book. And the print run on this drops significantly from that 53,000 down to 28,000. So this 1 in 50 incentives going to have about half the copies at about 564 potential. Again, not concrete numbers, just the best we have with what's available as far as information goes. But the census does support it, as there is only one in the census. So while there were 65 of that Manara book, because again, Milo Manara was a very popular cover artist for a while there, and all of those books were in high demand for a stretch. I mean, still a popular artist, I guess you could say, today, but not as much as it was like a few years ago. So with 65 submitted on that first issue, issue 2 only has 1, but it is a 9/8. So with that said, what do copies move for on the market for this one? Only 30 to 35 bucks. So this one's under ratio. I kind of like it. And I went to go look to buy one, as that's what I usually do. I do research, I come across books and I like it, and they're priced like this. I'm like, oh, you can get it for under ratio. I might be in. All right. But luck would have it, there are no copies out there. So no copies for me to go buy. So what are you going to do? I'm going to keep an eye out for it, and let me know if you guys find one out there, or if you have any of these. Once again, tag me on Instagram if you have any of these. I love seeing your hard-to-find books, your impossible-to-find books, because it gives me hope that maybe I will find one too. And also gives me some ideas. If you tag me on stuff that you think are ghosts and you want me to cover on a future episode, let me know. Hit me up with a DM if you don't want to just tag me on a post, and send me a message, and we'll have a little conversation. But with that said, let's move on to our last Fearless Defenders book. And we're going to stop at number 3 because, like I said, I think we covered issue 4 already. This is a Phil Jimenez. I used to always read it that way, but I think it's Jimenez. 1 in 50 from April of 2013. Print run is still down on those 20,000s, but it's 23,000 thereabouts. So this is down to about 470 potential copies. So under 500 now for this particular one. Again, estimated numbers. Census, again, not many. There are 8 with 7 9/8 and a 9/2 for whatever reason. So 7 successful 9/8 and 1 9/2. Interesting census for this one. No copies had sold recently on this particular book for whatever reason. Just maybe it's because there's not a lot out there. Because also when I looked, there is only one copy, and it is a 9/8. And it's asking a healthy $475. So not a cheap book, to be sure. So if you're interested, there's your one shot at it on the eBay market, at least right now. If you know other spots to go, some honey holes to go dig at, good luck. Go ahead. Let us all know where that is. No, I know you're not going to do that. People don't like to give up their little honey holes. So I'm not expecting you to. But if you want to, go right ahead. Put it in the comments. Let us all know, and we'll all go check it out and share in the wealth. But with that, that's our last Fearless Defenders book for this week, and we're going to shift on over to another title. Now, this is going to be an interesting little title. I kind of wanted to look at these because it's been a while, and while we're probably never going to get any sort of adaptation of this run, I still thought it was kind of a fun run, and I'm talking about Venom Space Knight. It was just took a whole different angle on Venom, gave him something different to do, where he was out in space, kind of Guardians of the Galaxy type stuff. Pretty cool, pretty fun little run, and there were variants that ran throughout this run. So this is issue 1 of that series, and this is the 1 in 25. The highest ratio we got on these, I believe, were 1 in 25s, and this particular cover is by Ron Lim of, for me, Silver Surfer fame, because that's Ron was drawing Silver Surfer back when I started reading comics and reading Silver Surfer in particular. But November 2015 on this one, on this particular variant. Pretty cool cover. Print run, healthy number, about almost 60,000, so just under 60,000. So there's going to be 2,300 plus of this 1 in 25 out there. With the census, there are not a lot in the census. With that many copies, there are not a lot submitted. If you can see here, there are only 5 with 4 9/8 and a single 9/2. Now, copies of this sell for relatively cheap, I would say. $10, $6. $6, $10 for a 1 in 25. I think these are very cheap prices. Again, it's not that hard to find of a book. Maybe I shouldn't have put it here on Ghost. Maybe I should have covered it somewhere else. But I put this in before I knew the answers. I don't want to go in knowing the answers. I put them in as come up with ideas, and then I do the research. I'm not going to waste the research just because it turns out, you know what, this book wasn't that hard to find. But let's see how not hard to find it is. There are at least 3 and a few more. But we have it for like 11 bucks, 15, $18, all under ratio for this Ron Lim cover. So, all right. So maybe this one we could have probably skipped, but we're not going to because we covered it already. And surprisingly, this number 1 for Venom Space Knight had another 1 in 25 cover. Why they didn't do 1 is 1 in 25, 1 is 1 in 50? Who knows? But there is another 1 in 25 incentive. This one by Mike Diodato. Check this one out. Pretty cool, though. Another cool cover. I like the red there, and I like the kind of a hero shot from down below. But again, this is a 1 in 25. Same book, same details. This is Mike Diodato, however. So the print run estimated incentive is going to be about the same because it's also a 1 in 25. So shops could have gotten just as many copies of this if they ordered 25 copies of the regular title. In the census, however, on this one, there are 7 with 598s, a 96, and a 94. This one sells for a little bit more. Not much. 17 bucks. Okay. Not terrible. And asking prices, however, there are a few out there, but they're asking, again, that $12 to $20 kind of range on this particular book. So still right around under ratio for this one. And with that many copies out there, I guess that's not too crazy to believe. But let's see. There's a couple of more books in this run, so let's take a look, see if any of these are tougher to find. Next up with issue 2. Another pretty cool. They went with some interesting cover artist choices on these incentive variants, I would say. Just maybe not your everyday thought, like you're not going to get your Turners and your Delatos and all that stuff. We're getting Mike Allred, 1 in 25 on this one from December of 2015. So going for a little bit of a different style. This is giving me like a Rick and Morty vibe from the Cronenberg universe. That's what I'm thinking when I see this cover. But this one, print run dips down to 32,000. So now we're getting more into the range of what we normally look at. Granted, that incentive is still at a decent 1,200 plus potential copies, but not as many as that issue 1. And in the census, there is only 1 copy and only a 9.6. So that first 9.8 is still out there somewhere. Maybe you have that copy, or maybe you'll find that copy, submit it, and get that first 9.8 in the census. Copies of this also are not that expensive. $4, $8, both a pair of bids on both of these auctions. Cheap. I mean, this is a 1 in 25. I have it, and I bought it for cheap too. I'm just surprised it's still that cheap, but hey, it is what it is. Not every book's going to be expensive that we cover. Just because it's hard to find doesn't mean it's going to be expensive. This one, asking prices, though, even though there are a few copies out there, asking 15 to 30. So there are no $4 copies to buy right now that I saw, but they could happen and they could pop up, as we've seen. Moving on. That's issue 2. How about issue 3? Print run going to keep getting harder? Can it keep dipping down? Issue 3 has a pretty decent Dan Panosian cover. I know I want to cover Dan Panosian one of these days on the Artist Retrospective because he's an artist that gets overlooked. He has a unique style, too. Gives you a little bit of that kind of a Sin City, a little bit of a grimier kind of vibe. I really liked his run on Slots, that creator-owned thing that he did. But get a different look here from Dan Panosian. He's come a long way since his days of working with Rob Liefeld, because I think he was over in his artist house, his little publishing area, Maximum, or whatever the heck they were called back in the day. I think it was Maximum and Malibu. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Number 3 for Venom Space Knight. As I said, this is a Dan Panosian. It's a 1 in 25. Came out in January 2016. Print run is still kind of in that 25,000 kind of range, so the incentive is down to about 1,000. Not too bad. The last one was about 1,200, so now we're down to about 1,000. Only 6 copies in the census, but all 6 are 9.8s for this particular one. And this issue 3 is also pretty cheap. Pretty cheap, all things considered. I mean, well, I guess not really if you factor in the shipping on this one. It's like $17, but from the UK with $26 shipping, you're looking at about 40 bucks. So maybe it's not that cheap, but let's see what the asking prices are. That's the sold copy that I could find. What are the asks? Well, we only had 2 out there that I could find, and yeah, they're asking 30 bucks and about 15, but again, from the UK, so another $21 shipping. So that's really more of a $35 to $40 kind of cost once you factor that in. So over ratio, on this one. So there we go. It only took to the third issue to get there, to get it over ratio, and it had to be the Panosian cover. But we're not done yet. We have one more Venom Space Knight for you to cover, and we're going to look at issue number 4. Not my favorite. This is definitely not my favorite cover. There's something weird about that face. It just doesn't look like that mouth belongs on Venom. It looks like it's drawn on in a mask. I don't know exactly what it is, but not my favorite. But it is a 1 in 25. This is a Sal Buscema cover from February 2016. Print run on this one also dips down to 21,000 thereabouts. So our estimated incentive is only about 861 copies. Surprisingly, 4 people submitted this for grading, and all 4 got 9/8. Even though, again, I'm not a fan of this cover. I do have it because I wanted to get all of these, and I got it for cheap when I did a couple of years ago. But none sold on this one within the last couple of months, surprisingly. And there are a couple copies out there. 9/8 asking $270, and then there's a 9/2 asking a paltry $42, and then there's a $40 raw. So this one is got a little bit more of a heftier price tag than the rest. I guess print run bringing it down, even though, like I said, it is not my favorite of the covers. But it is what it is. Let's see what else we got. I gave you some Fearless Defenders. We got some Venom Space Knights. Maybe not all your cup of tea. So let's shift a little gears, and probably also not your cup of tea because there are not a lot of DC fans these days. But let's not ignore DC completely because there are still some books that we should look at. And the first one I want to look at here is Superman. Superman number 700 to be exact. And this is an homage cover done by Edward Rizzo to that classic Superman, breaking through the kryptonite chains there, So there you go. Was that 233? Superman 233, I think, is the original. But Eduardo Rizzo did this in June of 2010. This is a 1 in 25 book, after all. Healthy print run of about 67,000. So this incentive also has 2,700 copies. That's going to be a lot. So you know what? We're not going to look at this one because that's a lot. That's a lot. I did it with the Venom Space Knight, but we already know there's going to be copies and it's probably going to be pretty cheap. I don't know. We'll see. But we're not going to focus in on that one. You know why we're not going to focus in on that one? Because there is a higher ratio. Because DC loves to do that black and white version. And that's what we have on that 67,000 print run. We also have this. I believe this was what? A 1 in. We've got to do that math now. That was a 1 in 25. Maybe it was just a 1 in 50, I guess. So 900 are the potential copies here. That doesn't seem to work. 1 in 75. Maybe it was a 1 in 75. I think it was an oddball incentive. See, again, I did this deck up like a week ago, and my brain is faltering on me. So let's see what we got in the census, though, as we look at this. So the sketch cover here has 24 copies in the census with 22 9/8. It looks like a 9/4 and an 8/5, as that's it. And sold copies on this book. Again, same cover. It's just the black and white sketch version. It is a 1 in 75. There we go. So I did guess right with my math. 1 in 75, black and white, Eduardo Rizzo. Best offer accepted on about $80. I didn't bother looking up the actual accepted price. So you figure it's going to be there under ratio, under that $75 mark. So that's the copy that's sold. As what was available, there are quite a few actually, and surprisingly of this particular cover. I don't know why. 175. I thought it would have been harder to find, but it's as cheap as $35, and it's as expensive as $180. Those are the asks. And there's also a $100 example in the middle. So that's just to show you that there's a broad range, ranging from as low as 35 up to 180 for this particular book. And these aren't the only copies that are out there. So, with 900, that's not a huge number, but it's not tiny either. I don't know. It's a lot for sale, I guess. This is a type of book I guess people don't want to hold on to in their collection. And I get it. I've said it many times before. Black and white with the sketch covers aren't my jam. I only like it for a couple of certain artists. Will I really like the sketch covers, the black and white versions? Otherwise, I prefer the finished art with the color. Give the colorists their due. Let them do their job as well. Not that I got anything against the art. It's just something on a comic. I like original art. It's just fine. But I don't know. Just with a cover like this and this high ratio incentives, just, I don't know. Give me the whole thing. That said, let's look at the next book. 701. Another homage to a classic cover. This is, I believe, John Cassaday doing his homage to, the original Superman one. So there you go. Pretty good one-for-one representation. You see, it still has that kind of classic vibe to his art. And John Cassaday did a decent job here. This is a 1 in 25 on this from July of 2010. This is part of the Straczynski run on Superman. I think this is when he was walking across the country. Maybe, I don't know. But Print run was about 54,000, so this incentive has a decent amount at 2,100, but it's a pretty cool cover, so I still wanted to take a look at it, even with a high incentive number like that. And with that, there's 28 in the census with 18 9/8s, 4 9/6s, and a few others. And this book doesn't sell for all that much. I mean, more than ratios, more than 25, but best offer accepted on $40. So keep that in mind as well, even if there are plenty of copies out there, because there were plenty of copies. And like I said, maybe I could have skipped it, but I kind of want to just cover it. We were already here, so let's look into it. And yeah, the asks are over that ratio, that 1 to 25 ratio. All the asks are about $45 to $50. So they're all looking for about double ratio, which is isn't too bad for this book. I mean, it is a classic cover. It is a classic image. It is a variant. It's one of those books. This is something I do think people do want to keep into their collections, in their PCs. This is kind of like cool Superman book to have. It's like, hey, it's a throwback. Well, not everybody's going to have a Superman 1. Who can afford a Superman 1? So you do what you can with the reprints and some of these homages and give you that same kind of vibe, that same kind of feeling. And with that, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on Hidden Gems that we had those Die Hard Year One books, and I said there was a 1 to 25 variant. We didn't cover it there on Hidden Gems. We are going to cover it here, and this is the Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother, as it gets cut off. This is the 1 in 25 incentive. I'm no cover artist because it's really just text, so I didn't bother looking into who put that text down. But 1 in 25, September of 2009. When the print run was only about 9,000, was under 9,000, the incentive here may only have 356 copies. So this Yippee-Ki-Yay book may be a little tough. And surprisingly, no one has submitted one to CGC. Granted, I don't have it. And it's a black cover with white text. It's probably going to be tough to find in high grade. Maybe a lot of people just didn't think to do it. Or maybe there's not a lot out there. I mean, again, that's an estimated number. It doesn't mean there's 356 copies, to be sure. That's just a guess. But no copies in the census on this one. And when we look at what's sold recently, we did have one sale. No, oh, I'm sorry. This is the wrong info. There wasn't a sale that I could find for this one. So get rid of that Superman book. Again, I guess lazy, and I didn't check my deck before starting this one up. But we do have one listed for sale. That's what I wanted to get to. None sold, but one listed for sale, and it wants $400. And that might not be a crazy ask because I haven't seen this book. I don't have this book. This book might not be that easy to find. There's none in the census. There's none that have sold. There's only one that's available. Is $400 crazy? I don't know. I just got rid of a couple of 8 billion Genie variants for over $200. So anything can happen in this market. That said, let's go on to our next book. And this is a G.I. Joe book. And this is going to be a tough G.I. Joe book because this is a crazy high ratio. This is G.I. Joe America's Elite number 11 from Devil's Due. This is a 1 in 200. 1 in 200. Who was ordering 200 copies of G.I. Joe America's Elite back in these days? In May of 2006. I don't feel like it was that popular of a title. And you know what? It wasn't, because the whole print run was only about 18,000. So why do they have a 1 in 200 incentive that gives you potentially 90 copies? If you do that math on 18,000, 200, 1 in 200 variant, under 100 copies. I don't know why they did it, but they did it. And what do we got in the census? We've got some. We've got 15 to be exact. 5 9/8s, 5 9/6s, and then a few others. However, I don't know what the market's going to be on this book because none have sold. And again, I might have teased a little bit, and you might have guessed that, yeah, there's also none available right now. I mean, if we're guessing there's 90 copies out there. I'm not surprised I can't find any. But who knows? This is going to be one of those tough books. I mean, it's a good cover. It's not a great cover, but it is going to be one of those ones we probably won't see. Most of us won't see, at least. But if any of you have it, please tag me. I'd love to see that somebody's got one of these in their collection. I'd love to see it, and applaud you for it. But with that, let's look at what we got this week because, yeah, I know I gave you some weird stuff and some books that are actually heavily printed. So we do have a lot of hard to find books this week. Not a lot of ghosts. We do have a lot of hard to find from all those Venoms, even that first Fearless book and a couple of Supermans. Yeah, I get it. They're only going to be hard to find, and maybe even some of those aren't even that hard to find. And some of these are pretty cheap. But I still think I managed to give you a few potential ghosts, considering there were either one or none out there from those two Fearless Defenders that Die Hard, and that G.I. Joe book. So I feel comfortable in calling these four, at least, with one or none out there, ghosts for this week at least. We looked at this in a few weeks or a couple of months, maybe the results would have been different, but as of right now, I'm making that call. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like I said, tag me if you have any of the books that I've shared today. Hit me up with a DM on Instagram if you have any suggestions as a books you want to see covered that you think could potentially be ghosts, and we'll look into it together and maybe put it on the show, and I'll give you a shout out as I usually do. If somebody gives me a book, I usually try to do my best to give them a shout out if I can remember and connect the dots of who told me about that book. So hopefully you guys are still enjoying this. Thank you all for stopping by and checking this out and supporting the channel. Like I said, go check out Dollar Bin Digging to find out about that giveaway, and we'll be doing more giveaways as the months go on, as we march towards 2,000 subscribers. And help us get there by telling your friends. And with that, I'm going to go get ready for the Star Wars show because I only got a few minutes. Going to get my drink ready, and we're going to have some more fun here on Rennavision. So hopefully you guys are still enjoying the ride. I'm still having fun doing this, and I still got plenty more books to tell you about. So with that, I'll see you guys later with some more content. Later.